clerk, and I'll just need them at the appropriate time, at least one of them, to be able to read the stipulation instruction. If you'll notice, I took the stipulation out of the final instructions. It's a trial instruction. It's not a final instruction. I don't think it's appropriate for the court to comment on any evidence during final instructions. So I'll read the stipulation instruction and then the three numbered paragraphs. So, all right. And Mr. Gorley, can you give me an idea how many witnesses you intend to call this morning? Okay. Ms. Hawthorne?
We have some witnesses that are also listed by Mr. Gorley and Mr. Bankovitz, excluding those three.
Okay. Mr. Bankowitz?
Just we also have some of the same witnesses, and our client has not yet made an election whether he intends to testify.
Okay. Have the other, Mr. Barrow, made that determination yet?
Not yet, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Smith?
No.
Okay. I'll give you an opportunity to talk to them again. So we'll have to stop and do that 3 times, I suppose.
Are we going to be going with my 3 witnesses, then I rest, then?
That would have been my intention, yes, sir. Unless you propose something else that everybody can agree to.
I would prefer to do my 3 witnesses, let them do their witnesses, and then rest at the conclusion of.
Okay. State have any objection to that?
Mr. Gorley does his, and then
Then Ms. Hawthorne does hers, Mr. Bankowitz does his, and then if they're going to rest, they rest.
that would make the most sense to me, Your Honor.
Your Honor, Mr. Smith would ask to go last because there are some witnesses, as I mentioned, that are mutual to Mr. Gorley and Mr. Bankovitz. And if the question would proceed in that order, I think it would be less disjointed for presentation purposes.
I don't have an objection either way, Judge.
So you want to go last?
Yes.
Okay. I don't care.
I would just ask that if it's a witness who is listed by all party, or by more than one party, that party be required to conduct a direct examination instead of a cross-examination in terms of the manner of questioning.
I'm not in any position to sort that out,
Yes,
so
sir.
I don't know who listed who.
I don't recall. Not yet.
Well, it's just everybody's going to have to keep in mind the difference between direct examination and cross-examination. I know it'll be hard for you over here, so, but at any rate. Do you have exhibits that you intend to introduce,
I do not, Your Honor. I think it's Hawthorne.
Ms. Hawthorne?
Photographs, Your Honor, I have one that the state.
Well, if you have something, it needs to be pre-marked, so, okay.
One that the state didn't reject, so we're going to have it.
Which one is that, Ms. Hawthorne?
The photograph of my client at the front door.
No, we have no objection.
Will only be marked as the.
King, or I'm Smith.
That's the one? Yes, Mr. Court, you didn't object to the front?
No, any still shots that are taken from a video and evidence, I think is fair game,
Okay.
so.
I have copies of 4 videos, Your Honor. I'd like to have them marked. I don't know that they're going to come in, but for purposes of.
Videos of what?
Videos of, that were given to us by the state. One probably already in evidence by the state.
Okay.
Is in evidence, Ms. Hawthorne?
The second one is also the front door, which I believe is also in
Yeah,
evidence.
what we did with the front door, so you're aware, is there were 6 or 7 clips taken by Detective Dodd. We have one where they all run back to back, so if the jury wants to view them, they don't have to start at 7 separate times. They're not continuous, but they do run back to back.
And
Well, we have another disc with each of them separately, which any individual video you have will be contained on. So I believe, I mean, those are all gonna be in evidence. And I have spoken to Ms. Hawthorne about 2 of the other things she wishes to introduce, and I think it would be best if we could perhaps address it before the jury's in the room. One of them is an interview conducted by Deborah Waberson from the Ocala Police Department of Danielle Kendrick when she was in the hospital. I don't know I mean, it would obviously be hearsay because it would be Ms. Kendrick's statement made out of court, and I don't believe that there was any inconsistent statement that Ms. Kendrick made that was specifically inquired about and then denied, such that it would be proper to use extrinsic evidence of that hearsay.
Ms. Kendrick testified, I believe, and if I'm incorrect, please correct me, that my client was inside a nightclub wearing a black polo shirt. My client is clearly outside the club, and he's wearing a tank top.
Okay, what does that have to do with a statement by Officer Waberson?
It's not, well, Officer Robertson would be called to the stand to authenticate the video that came from her view.
Well, why would her interview with Ms. Kendrick be substantive evidence of anything?
It's impeachment to Ms. Kendrick.
Did you ask Ms. Kendrick if she talked to Officer Waberson? I didn't hear that.
I did ask her if she had an interview at the hospital, and where she indicated that Mr. Barrow and Miss Maisha Barrow had firearms, and she said she didn't recall.
Well, that isn't a sufficient predicate to impeach her if she didn't remember.
Is that a denial, sir?
If your intention is to play that video of an interview of an out-of-court statement of Danielle Kendrick, yes, and I won't allow that. So I don't find a proper predicate has been laid to allow you to introduce extrinsic evidence of the prior statement.
And the other videotape I've discussed with Mr. McCord, it's the interview of Gerald Shaw by Newbanks on September 13th, 2015, in the early morning hours. As Mr. McCord expressed the same grounds. In that interview, Mr. Shaw clearly identifies someone as wearing a burnt orange polo shirt and burnt orange pants, and that person disappears, doesn't scoot down behind a car, never describes my client. Then he came to the courtroom and says, there was my client.
But I recall a series of questions regarding that issue with
Yes.
Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
And him answering in such a manner that I don't believe that you would be permitted to introduce extrinsic evidence of his prior statement.
Yes, sir.
All right, then I'm not going to allow you to do that, because I don't think the proper predicate has been laid. All right, so you'll have photos and no DVDs or CDs, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, anything else?
Not for Mr. Barrow.
No, sir, only that when they call witnesses, I do have a copy of a transcript to show the witness as well as one for the court, but I don't know who they're going to call, so I don't know which
Okay,
to give the court yet.
Okay.
Mr. Brewer wants to tell me and tip his hand.
that's all right. It can be a mild surprise.
That's fine.
You have a pool from which to choose, right?
I believe Kiera Scott and Giovanni Collins, I'm just not sure if it'll be Maisha Barrow or Herbert Well.
Okay.
With that being said, can I approach with Mr. Collins? And I have a copy of his deposition, Your Honor. I also have a copy, or the original of Kiera Scott's interview with the police and his deposition.
Why do I need those?
In the event you wanted to make sure that it was, something was appropriate for impeachment.
Well, I would expect you would object if you have some issue.
No, I mean, if I'm going to impeach them and they don't believe a statement is inconsistent, as I,
Well, we'll cross that bridge
Okay.
if we get to it, so. All right. See if the jury's ready.
may I run down to the restroom very, very quickly?
Yes, sir. All of you can if you need to.
Check on my witnesses.
That's probably the better use of your time.
His first witness, Collins, is in custody. It's
Oh.
gonna take me a second or two to get.
Oh, okay. All right. You can go ahead and go. and-
Oh, he's ready.
Oh.
I just gotta go from here around.
I got you. Okay.
Connor, may I step out?
Yes, ma'am. All right. Are we ready for the juries?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Let's return the juries, please. All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Did anyone have any difficulty with anyone attempting to speak with them about the case over the weekend? No. Anyone see, hear, or read anything about the case? Very good. Mr. McCourt?
At this time, Your Honor, the state would move into evidence pursuant to stipulation, the following stipulations. Stipulation of the state of Florida and Laquan Barrow marked as State's Exhibit YYY into evidence as State's Exhibit 70. State's Exhibit ZZZ, stipulation of between the state of Florida and Michael Eugene Smith into evidence as State's Exhibit 71. We would move State's Exhibit AAAA, stipulation between the state of Florida and Gary Edward King into evidence as State's Exhibit 72.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, when lawyers agree that certain facts are true, that is called a stipulation of fact. You must accept stipulated facts as having been proven. However, the significance of these facts, as with all facts, is for you to decide. In this case, the stipulated facts that you must accept as true are: 1, the victim, as alleged in count 1 of the information, is Benitria Robinson. 2, Benitria Robinson was shot on September 13th, 2015 at approximately 1:32 a.m. at 1910 South Pine Avenue, Ocala, Florida, and became deceased at approximately 1:45 a.m. 3, the body of Benitria Robinson was autopsied by Dr. Wendy Lavezzi at the Medical Examiner's Office, District 5 in Leesburg, Florida, on September 13th, 2015 at approximately 9 o'clock a.m. in case number 2015-1132. And what you will have is the written stipulation along with the other exhibits that you'll have, so you don't have to try to remember everything I read you. Mr. McCourt?
This time, the state will rest.
All right. And then all previous motions, the court, all right. The record will reflect the motions are renewed and the rulings will remain the same. All right. Mr. Gorley, does Mr. Barrow care to exercise his right to present evidence?
He does, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
At this time, Your Honor, we would call to stand Giovanni Collins.
All the way up the ramp. Face straight across and raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am. Have a seat. Mr. Gorley?
Morning, Mr. Collins. Could you introduce yourself to the jury by telling them your name and spelling it for the court reporter?
Giovanni Collins, Jevauno Collins, Collins.
And do you go by Giovanni or do you go by another nickname?
I go by Vano as well.
Okay. How is it that you know Laquan Barrow?
I know Laquan Barrow from maybe like 2008, somewhere around there.
Mr. Collins, if you could kind of sit up a little bit, maybe pull the microphone down slightly and
Okay.
try to keep your voice up. You're very soft-spoken.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Since 2008?
Yeah, roughly.
Okay. And Mr. King?
Around the same time.
And how about Mr. Smith?
About 2010, 11.
Okay. And do you consider yourself a friend of Laquan's?
Yeah, we're okay friends.
Okay. Now, back on September 13th at Cloud 9, how did you get there that day?
I rode with friends Dadrian and Terrell.
Okay. And did you see Mr. Barrow there?
Yes, I did.
Do you know how he arrived at the club?
He drove.
Okay. Do you know what vehicle he drove?
He drove a pickup truck.
Okay. And how about Mr. King? Did you see Mr. King at the club?
Yeah, I saw him at the club.
Okay. Do you have any idea how he arrived at the club?
He drove his car.
Okay. What kind of car was that?
Kia,
Okay. Do you remember what color it was?
black.
What happened inside the club?
A fight broke out between Quan's sister and Nate's sister.
Okay. Did you see the fight?
Yeah, I saw the fight.
Could you describe to the jury what you saw?
The fight started between the two females. Another female jumped in to help Nate's sister.
What two females were involved in the fight?
Maisha and Didi. That's I don't
Is
know.
that Danielle Kendrick?
Danielle, yeah.
Okay.
The fight broke out. Another girl jumped in on Didi's side, and that's when Quan seen it. He tried to snatch the girl off his sister, and then Nate seen all that after that, and then it became an argument between the two. It was never a fight between Quan and Nate in the club or outside.
Did you see any blows thrown between Nate and Laquan?
No.
Okay.
Bouncer grabbed Quan by that time. They put him out the club.
What happened inside the club? Was Nate still arguing?
Yeah, he was arguing still.
Who was he arguing with?
Him and Gene pretty much was worried, but they were not close to each other.
Okay. By Gene, you mean Michael Smith?
Correct?
Okay. And they were arguing?
Yeah.
Did you see any blows between the two of them?
No.
Okay. So do you stay in the club?
No, I grabbed Gene. We headed out the club. Me and Gene headed out the club together.
Okay. And what did you see when you went outside the club?
Nate came out. It was Quan and Nate had words.
Did you ever see not Benitria, did you ever see Maisha and Danielle involved in any fighting or arguing outside the club?
No, I didn't.
All right. And continue. You saw Nate come out of the club?
Him and Quan argued again. After the argument, that's when I seen Gary straight ahead.
Where were you at?
I was going straight out the door and kept going straight.
Okay. Were there any vehicles around there?
Vehicles were to the right.
Okay. And where did you see Laquan at?
Quan was to the right as well.
Okay. And what happened during this argument?
They just had words, and I was speaking to Gary for a little bit, and then Quan walked away. As Quan walked away, shots were sent his direction, but his back was still turned to Nate, like
Do you know where he was walking to and what direction?
towards the end of the building.
Okay. And what happened when that occurred?
I ended up beside Quan, and as the shots were going off, his hands were like up in the air. He was like, "Who the fuck shooting? Who the fuck?" Well, I'm not allowed to curse on it. He was just yelling,
You
"Who's
can say
shooting?"
what was being said.
He was like, "Who the fuck shooting? Who the fuck shooting?" with his hands up, and I thought he was getting shot at first, like from where he was standing, how his hands were. I thought he was getting shot.
Okay. And where were you at this time when the shots were going off?
Behind the pickup truck.
Okay. And where was Laquan at this time when the shots were going off?
Behind the pickup truck as well.
Was there anybody else there with him?
Sarah.
Sarah?
Yeah, Sarah was.
Okay. And do you know Sarah's last name?
Walters.
Okay. Now, there came a time, well, first off, did you see Benitria Robinson?
The moment I saw her, I thought she was Maisha, like, at first.
Okay.
In the midst of her running, I thought she was Maisha.
Did you later come to find out it was Benitria?
Yeah, when I walked up on her, I realized it was not Maisha.
All right. And did you see Benitria at all during the shooting?
Outside the club, no. I saw her in the club.
Okay.
But outside, no.
Did you see her after the shooting?
Yeah, I walked up on her after the shooting.
Okay. Do you remember approximately where she was?
Yeah, she was. If you come out the club, she'll be to the left.
Okay.
Towards Pine.
All right. And when you observed her, first off, do you know Benitria before this?
Yes.
Okay. How is it that you know her?
We went. No, I met her through Facebook, but I know her from like around the community.
Okay. Do you know her family at all?
Nah, I didn't know the family.
Just her?
Just her, yeah.
Okay. All right. And there came a time where you were, after the case was over, that you spoke to the police, correct?
Well, you said after the case was over?
I mean,
Well,
after that night.
The situation, the next morning we were at the station, but the officers turned us down.
Okay. Could you tell the jury about what occurred when you went to the station and who you went to the station with?
I went with Kiera, Shagarian, Sarah as well, and Jahan.
Okay. And did you speak to any officers?
In the midst of the officers bringing us in, they put us all in a room and asked us what.
Could you describe the room that you were sitting in?
It was a little couch in the room and little bookshelves. It was almost like a room you put a kid in to wait on their parents or something like that.
Okay.
Pretty much.
And while you were there, did they ask you any questions?
They just asked what colors we were wearing and told us we're good to go.
Okay.
That was it. They didn't.
When you say what color you were wearing, were they referring to your clothes?
The clothes we wore the night of the club, yes.
Okay. And do you know if they talked to Kiera or Sarah that day?
They turned Sarah around as well.
Okay.
I believe they talked to Kiera. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe they did.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Collins.
Yes, sir.
Cross-examination, Mr. Bankowitz. Whatever you want to call it. If you're adopting the witness, then you can ask direct examination questions.
Mr. Collins, how long have you known Gary King?
It's been years, since like 2008 as well.
How tall are you?
5'5".
Now, that night when the fight broke out at the club, did you see Gary in the club?
Yeah, Gary was in the club.
What was he doing?
I left Gary right before the fight. Gary was on the other side by the VIP.
So
and
you
I went
left?
Yeah, the fight broke out in the middle. I left from where Gary was and went to the middle.
And Gary left with you?
No, Gary stayed
Okay.
to the other side.
What was the next time you saw Gary?
Outside the club, directly across from the door.
Did he have any part in the argument between Nathaniel Kendrick and Mr. Barrow?
Gary had nothing to do with none of it. No argument, fights, nothing.
Did you see Gary King with a gun that night?
No, never.
How close outside did you get to Gary King?
Enough to touch his hand. I touched him.
Enough to touch him?
Yeah, I touched him.
And when the shots began, were you that close to him?
No, I was more close to the corner when the shots began.
Okay. Could you see what Gary King was doing when the shots were fired?
Yeah, he was
What was
hiding
he
behind
doing?
a car for cover.
Excuse me?
He was hiding behind a car for cover.
And was he in the same area that you were?
It was to my left.
But you could see him?
I can see him, yes.
You didn't see him reaching over, firing a gun, did you, over the car?
Absolutely not.
Did you see any of the individuals who were shot get shot?
I saw Benicia get shot.
Do you know a Patrick Emanuel?
Do I know a Patrick Emanuel? Yeah, I know a Patrick Emanuel.
Was he there that night?
Yes, he was.
And do you know a Devontae Gordon?
I'm not sure who that is.
Okay. Did you happen to see Mr. Emanuel with a gun that night?
No, I didn't.
Did you see Mr. King leave the area
Leave.
after the shooting took place?
Yeah.
And when he left,
Could you see who was with him?
I believe he was by himself.
He was by himself?
Yes.
And did he leave in the black Kia?
Yes.
Did you see anyone leave the area in a Malibu, a Chevy Malibu?
Not that I recall, no.
Okay. And how did you leave the area?
I left with Terrell and Dadrian.
I'm sorry?
I left with Terrell and Dadrian, different car.
Okay. And could you see what car Mr. Barrow left in?
I believe he left in the same truck he came in.
Can you describe that truck?
It's a four-door, maybe like a dark brownish color. I don't know the brand or the name of the truck.
Pretty big size pickup truck?
It wasn't that big, no. It's not big as like a Ford 4x4. It's not that big, if that's what you're asking.
Well, you say Mr. King left alone.
Yes, sir.
And is it your testimony you never saw him fire a gun
Yes,
or
correct.
have a gun in his possession?
That's correct.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Hawthorne?
Good morning, Mr. Collins.
Good morning, ma'am.
How are you doing?
I'm good, ma'am. And you?
Good, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Collins, you know my client, Michael Gene Smith?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you known him?
Since about 2010 or 11.
So it's been several years.
Yes, ma'am.
Is he a good friend of yours?
He's an okay friend.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
And you saw him at the club that night?
Yes, ma'am.
Did the two of you go together?
No, ma'am.
About what time did you get there?
11:30.
And you saw him in the club when the fight broke out or before the fight?
Yeah, I did.
And what was he doing?
They were just hanging out.
Okay. And when the fight started, do you know where he was?
He was on the side pretty much at first, yeah.
And did he get involved in the fight?
No.
Did he leave the club?
Did he leave the club?
Yeah.
Yes. We all left the club. Like, you mean go outside? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Did you go outside about the same time he did?
Yeah, I'm the one that grabbed him out of the club, yes.
Okay. And when you went outside, did you stay together?
At first we were together, yes. Then I left from by him.
And where was he when you went outside?
Straight ahead of the door. Almost to the sidewalk, I should say.
All right. And you both went out to the sidewalk?
Yes.
And then where did you go?
Then I went towards Laquan.
And where did Michael go?
I left him behind.
Did you see him after that?
No, ma'am.
Did you see him leave?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever see him with a gun?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever see him get into a fight or hand a gun to Mr. Barrow?
No. He just had words with Nate in the club, that was it, but he never got in a fight.
Okay. After the shooting, did you see my client there?
After the shooting, no, ma'am.
Did you see him at all that evening after the shooting?
No, ma'am.
Do you know how he left the club?
No, I don't know how he left the club, ma'am.
Do you know who he arrived at the club with?
I believe he came with Sierra.
Who?
Sierra.
Okay. Did you see them leave together?
I believe they're always together, so I'm pretty sure they left together.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Cross-examination.
Mr. Collins, you know Laquan Barrow well, right?
It's okay, relationship, yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that. You know him from high school?
Yes.
You know him from the neighborhood?
Yes.
You'd say you guys are cool, right?
Okay, yeah.
You know him for about 8 years.
Uh-huh.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
And you know Gary King?
Yes, sir.
You know him through Laquan.
Yes.
And him and Gary are cousins?
Yes.
You've known Gary for about 8 years.
Yes.
And you know Gene.
Yes.
You've known him. It's about 7 years now. Is it 2010 or 11?
Yes.
6, 7 years? You and Gene are friends, right?
Yeah, we're okay, yeah.
Now, Gene and Laquan, they're friends, right?
Yeah, you can say that, yeah.
And Gene and Gary are friends.
Your cousins, yeah.
Well, Gene and Gary are
Oh,
cousins.
I'm sorry, Gene and, never mind, yeah, they're friends.
And y'all are friends with one another.
Yeah, we're okay.
Y'all hang out?
Every now and then.
I mean, you guys go to clubs and stuff, right?
Correct.
You guys play cards together?
Me and Gary.
You don't play cards with Laquan?
Barely. He barely plays. If that, yeah, he barely plays.
But you do play cards with him?
Yes.
When you play cards, I mean, you're there together at somebody's house, sitting around, playing cards, talking, doing what friends do.
Gambling. Yeah.
You guys gamble?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you play cards with Gary?
Yes.
Play cards with Gene?
No.
No? You used to go to clubs pretty often, right?
No, I was working a lot then. Just every now and then.
Would you go on the weekends?
Yeah.
Now, you said you're okay friends with them, right?
Right.
I mean, you would agree you're more than okay friends, right?
No.
You agree you don't have many friends that you're closer with than them?
I have friends I'm closer with than them. Yeah.
Okay. You said you're not good friends.
We're okay friends.
Have you ever said you're good friends?
I guess that's okay.
Mr. Collins, do you remember giving a deposition in this case October 19th of this
Yeah,
year?
I do remember.
I was there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Gorley was present, is that right?
Correct.
Mr. Bankowitz was there?
Correct.
Do you remember at that deposition saying that they were good friends?
That's okay as well. Yeah.
I mean, there's a difference between good friends and okay friends.
Correct.
Okay. And you said they were good friends during your deposition.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. And you would agree you also that you don't have many friends that you're closer with than them, right?
Repeat that.
You would agree that you don't have many friends you're closer with than them,
I have friends I'm closer with than them.
but not many.
Yeah, not many.
Now, September 13, 2015, you were at Cloud9 that night, right?
Yes, sir.
And you were there when the shooting happened?
Yes, sir.
How long do you think the shots lasted?
I wouldn't say a minute.
Not a minute?
No.
At least 30 seconds?
Roughly.
And after it was over, you went up to Benitria, didn't you?
I did.
You looked down at her,
Yes, I did.
and you walked away.
Yeah. I walked in the club.
You didn't try to give her first aid?
I don't know how to do that.
Didn't reach down, check for a pulse?
No, someone else, another female was down close to her.
And that night, you're wearing, it's like a baby blue t-shirt, right?
Correct.
White shorts, right?
White shorts, correct.
And like shoes that have like pink and purple in them?
Pink and blue.
Pink and blue. How far was Benitria from Pine when you saw her?
She wasn't too far off from the. She was about 4 or 5 yards from the grass and stuff.
4 or 5 yards from, about 4 or 5 yards? 1, 2, 3. It's about 4 paces.
She wasn't too far from the pavement.
What about, how far from the pavement was she? From me to you? This far, a little further?
Roughly about there to the desk, between here and the desk. Yeah.
From me to that desk?
No, from me to that desk behind you.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. About 5.5 of my paces, right? Yes?
Correct.
All right, and you were there that night to celebrate a friend's birthday, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that night at Cloud9 was the Virgo birthday bash, wasn't it?
Correct.
And so everybody who had a Virgo birthday could get into the club free, right?
That's right.
But you got to RSVP ahead of time, right?
Yes.
And you were there with a friend of yours. I think you call him Bird,
It was his birthday. Yes, correct.
but you call him Bird, right?
Correct.
Bird's name is Josh.
Correct.
Joshua Rainey.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Also goes by China White.
I don't call him China White.
Go ahead if I could. Collins. States 62 G. This is Bird, right?
That's correct.
Okay. May I publish to the jury, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you're there with Bird for his birthday, right?
I was there with T-Baby then for Bird's birthday, correct.
How well do you know Bird?
I know Bird.
What?
I know him.
How well?
Uh,
You
good-
okay friends or good friends?
Okay, friends.
Like you're okay friends with these guys?
Yeah, you can say that.
And Bird hangs out with y'all, right?
Yeah,
He lives out in the shores,
Summerfield.
Summerfield. But he used to live in the shores, right?
Yeah,
He lived on Bahia,
yeah,
the Bahia area, right?
that's correct.
And you guys you guys call yourself Swampside, right?
I don't call myself nothing.
Okay. But you've heard other people refer to themselves as being from Swampside, right?
Yeah, Bird, yes.
It's kind of a collection of people from the shores.
Yes,
Quan,
yes,
Gary,
yes,
Gene.
yes.
Now, it wasn't just Bird who was there with you guys that night, right? You had other friends who showed up, right?
Yes.
Where'd you all park at? You and Dadrin.
To the right of the club from the entrance.
You see Bird inside that night?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, he kind of would stand out a little bit there, right?
Yeah, you can say
You
that.
recognize?
Yes,
Okay. And I don't mean for this to come across wrong, but largely the clientele at Cloud9 that night was African American. Is that fair to say?
fair to say.
And Bird is mixed, is my understanding. Is that correct?
Correct,
And he actually has a much lighter skin tone.
correct.
So he would be somebody who would, just on the surface, look different than a lot of people, right?
Correct.
And he has long dreads, doesn't he?
Yes,
So that night, Quan was with you in the club, wasn't he?
yes,
And Gene,
yes,
and Gary.
yes,
Now, well, you remember Gene was wearing red gym shorts, right?
yes.
What color shirt?
Black.
Now, if there were a photograph of Gene wearing a white shirt, like a tank top, you would agree he must have taken his black shirt off, right?
Fair to say.
I mean, it's common for guys to sometimes wear one shirt with another shirt underneath, right?
Yes,
And then you can put the other shirt back on if you want, right?
correct.
And Kiera was there in the club, right?
Yes,
Maisha
yes.
and Dadrin. He's got dreads.
Yeah, he had dreads, yeah.
Okay, and they were about shoulder length or so at the time, right?
Yeah.
At the time, Gene didn't have dreads, did he?
No, I don't think so, no.
He had like a little poofy fro up top.
Yes,
Gary, he
Low.
didn't have dreads, did he?
no.
His hair was a little bit longer on top, the sides were kind of shaved,
Yeah, I always keep a low cut.
low cut fade.
I always keep a low cut.
Mr. Barrow, hair's probably roughly about the same, right?
Correct.
Deidre was wearing a shirt that night. Remember what kind?
I don't remember what kind, but yeah, he was wearing a shirt.
Were you and Deidre out front together?
At what point you asking this?
Around the time that you and Gene parted ways.
No, Dajan was still in the club.
Who had on the free beer shirt?
Free what?
Shirt that said free beer, white t-shirt.
I'm not sure.
Now, you were there with Laquan Barrow inside the club all night, right?
But most of the night, yeah.
That's how you know he didn't get into a fight?
Correct.
Remember him going to the photo booth?
Yeah.
You ever remember saying that you don't remember him going to a photo booth?
No.
Do you remember giving your deposition?
Yes.
Remember at your deposition saying that you don't recall Laquan going to the photo booth.
Okay.
Counsel, page 19, lines 8 to 9. Do you remember making that statement?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So now you remember him going, but 2 months ago you didn't, or a month ago you didn't?
Okay.
I mean, that's right?
That's right.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Just make sure you answer out loud, Mr. Collins. All right, so Maisha and Danielle get in a fight that night inside the club, right?
That's right.
And Nate goes up to it. Nate goes up toward the fight, right?
Yeah.
And Quan?
Yeah.
Okay. And Quan got involved, right?
Quan pulled the girl off his sister, yeah.
Okay. And then Nate got involved?
Nate didn't get involved. The bouncer got involved.
Quan actually got taken down by that bouncer, right?
Taken out the club, yes.
Yeah, I mean, the bouncer's a big guy.
Correct.
And Laquan's a big guy, right?
Correct.
I mean, he's the largest of your group of friends here, right?
Correct.
And what Mr. Counsel actually had to do, the bouncer, he's a large black man, right?
Correct.
He's bigger than Laquan, right?
Counsel, I don't know what it is, but yeah.
The bouncer who got him.
Okay, yeah.
And the bouncer actually had to put him in a chokehold, right?
Correct.
Okay. Actually had to take him down to the ground. Right?
Right.
And Laquan was fighting back, wasn't he?
I didn't see it.
Okay, you didn't see that?
Yeah.
Laquan didn't like being taken down, did he?
I didn't see it, yeah.
Sustained.
Did he seem happy about being taken down?
Objection call.
I didn't see him on the ground.
That question's over.
Did he seem happy about being taken down?
I didn't see him on the ground.
When's the next time you saw Laquan after he got taken down to the ground?
I seen him outside the club.
And you left with Gene, right?
I pulled Gene out the club, yes.
But you have no idea where Gene was during that shooting, do you?
Gene, no. I know I left him to the left before the shooting started. The left of the club.
Madam Clerk, can I have state sworn I just want to make sure when you say left, I'm thinking about the same left as you.
Okay.
So go in here.
Judge, could I,
Yes,
put myself in a position to see?
absolutely.
Okay. When you come out of the club here, you're in that little red area, right?
Yes.
Right in front of the main door?
Yes.
And which way does Gene go?
Gene's the same way you just pointed at.
He's there?
Yes.
And then Gene goes off that way?
No, I go off that way.
Okay. Which way does Gene go? Does he
I
just
left
stay there?
Gene where you pointed at the first time.
You just stood there in that red area?
Yes.
You didn't see him run away?
No.
Didn't see him disappear?
No, I moved before Gene did.
Now, after the shooting, you left with Dadrin, right?
I went in the club, got him, and left, yeah.
And you went back to Laquan's grandmother's house
I got dropped off, yeah.
at 9324 Spring Terrace?
Correct.
And Laquan went back there too?
Yes.
And he was driving a truck that night, right?
Correct.
And that was a four-door truck?
Yes, it was.
Pickup truck?
Yes.
And you think it was a dark brown color?
Yeah.
Fair to say it was a dark truck.
It was, yeah.
Could it have been black?
No, I don't think it was black.
Could it have been like a very dark gray?
It was like a darkish brown color.
And Laquan drove back alone?
Yes.
There was nobody else in the truck with him, right?
Not that I seen.
And you got there before Laquan, right?
Yes.
And when you got there, Kiara Scott was already there?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
And Maisha Barrow was already there?
Maisha was there.
And who's Gary's mom?
Tanisha Barrow.
And Tanisha was there that night, right?
Correct.
And Shagarian Hamilton was there, right?
Yes.
And Shagarian's Quan's girlfriend?
That's correct.
Mr. Collins, can you move your hands away from your face? It's easier to hear you that way.
Okay.
Remember what Shagarian was wearing that night?
No, I don't.
Black and white dress with like long up and down stripes on it. That refresh your recollection?
Okay.
The record I'm showing the witness states 36A. That's what she was wearing that night?
Correct.
You see her after the shooting?
At the house, yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't see her there at the club, did you? After the shooting?
No.
So she didn't go look at Benitria, did she?
I can't say if she did or didn't do that.
You didn't walk away from her nice and slow afterward
I can't say if she did or didn't do that.
as you were coming up, no?
I don't recall.
Gary showed up back at the house too, right?
Yeah,
And so did Jean?
I don't remember seeing Jean.
Do you remember saying anything different at your deposition?
No,
Counsel, page 42, lines 16 and 17. Do you remember being asked the question that everyone came back to Laquan's house?
yes,
And you said everyone did come back?
yes,
And do you remember being asked who everyone included?
yes.
And do you remember saying Jean?
I probably did say Jean.
Okay, probably.
Mr. Collins.
Yeah,
You did say Jean.
okay.
I mean, do you agree with that? Do you want me to show
If you say it's there, then it's there.
Let's go ahead and have you say it's there. Page 42. Line 16, 17. What was the question
Okay.
there?
Jean, yes,
And you
okay.
said what?
Yes,
Jean did go back there that night.
okay.
So you, Kira, Maisha, Shigarian, Jean, Gary, and Quan.
Okay,
That's the group of you that show up there, right?
yes,
Now at the club there that night, Nate was arguing with Laquan, wasn't he?
yes, it was.
Laquan was arguing with Nate.
Yes,
And Michael Smith, Jean, was arguing with Nate.
inside, yes.
What was he saying inside? What was Michael saying?
I couldn't hear it. The music was still playing.
He was mad though, right?
Both were.
I mean, Michael gets kind of animated, right?
Both did.
Okay, but Michael did. I'm asking you about Michael.
You say he did or didn't?
Michael gets animated, right?
You can say so.
He got animated that night, right?
Yes.
I mean, lots of pointing, you know.
Both ways, yes.
Okay. I'm asking you about Michael.
Okay.
I'm asking you about Nate Kendrick. Michael was animated that night, right?
Correct.
Michael was angry that night?
Wouldn't say. Yes.
It seemed like he wanted to fight Nate, right?
Yes.
Quan wanted to fight Nate?
Yes.
Now, you understand your name was first given as a witness in August of this year, correct?
In August of this year?
Yes.
No, it was before that.
Well, you claimed you talked to either Gary or Laquan's attorney when they first got arrested, right?
Correct.
Then you
Well,
spoke.
go ahead. Yeah.
You did?
Yes.
Then you spoke with them several months prior to my ever coming to see you in October to take your deposition. Is that correct?
That's correct. I spoke with Gary's lawyer. Gary's lawyer.
And then you claim that you tried to speak to the police about this, right?
Yes.
And that the officer you talked to, describe him for me.
Medium built guy. I don't remember, like I said, his hair. I don't think I remember how his hair was. Like, I can't force a description on him.
Okay. You don't really remember what he looked like?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay. But he was somebody who was speaking with Mr. Barrow and Shigarian and Kiera?
I wasn't sure who was speaking with Mr. Barrett, but he spoke with me, Kiera, and Shigarian, yes.
Does the name Keith Miller ring a bell?
No, it doesn't.
White male?
The officer is a white male, yes.
Probably about 5'7", 5'8".
Medium built, that's correct.
And build-wise, go ahead and sit up a little bit. Look at your build. He's probably about the same build as you?
Nah, I'm small, bigger than me.
A little bigger than you?
Yeah.
He didn't look like he didn't have a mustache, did he?
I don't recall.
And Shigarian was there that day, right?
Yes, she was.
And they spoke to her, right?
No, they sent us all out.
You don't remember them speaking to Shigarian?
No, we all were in the same room, and he dismissed us. We're good to go.
So you don't remember them speaking to Shigarian at all?
All of us together, if that's what you're asking, then they spoke to all of us together, yes.
Who'd you arrive there with?
I went by myself.
Was Shigarian already there?
Yes. outside.
So she hadn't went inside yet.
No one went inside yet.
Okay. But then you and Shigarian went inside together?
Kiera, Sarah, and yeah, that's it.
So you, Kiera, and Sarah went inside.
Correct.
And while you were inside, you sat in this room with a couch,
That's correct.
and then you all left together.
Yeah. We all left out the building together, yes.
And they never talked to Shigarian,
I didn't see him talk to Shigeri, no.
so Shigarian was with you there the whole time.
Yeah, in the same room, yes.
And did they talk to Kiera?
Yes,
They just didn't talk to you, Sarah, or Shigarian.
correct.
What time did you all get there? Remember?
I got there around 11:30ish.
So there wasn't a period of time when Shigarian was gone for an hour?
At the station?
Yeah.
No, when I got there, Shigeri was never left till I left. Like,
But she didn't go in. She didn't leave with some detectives for about an hour.
not while I was there, no.
But you guys left together.
When I left, like I said, they told me, good to go, I'm gone.
You left and Shigarian left.
I left in my car. When I pulled out, I don't know who was behind me.
Okay, but Shigarian had went outside, right?
That's correct.
Now, at what point in time did they speak to Kiera?
When we went in the first time, I want to say they kept him in the room.
And since this shooting happened, you and Laquan have interacted, right?
Yes,
You've talked to each other,
yes,
discussed this case.
no.
How long ago did you last talk to Laquan?
Say about 2 months.
You never, the fact that you may be here testifying in front of a jury one day never came up. Is that right?
I made my mind up to testify when this first happened.
But it never came up with you and
We
Mr.
never discussed it.
You've spoken with Gary since this incident, right?
That's correct.
And you've spoken to Gary's mom,
That's correct.
and did this come up, did this not happen to come up with Gary either?
Wait, you're asking me ask me again what you're asking me.
You've spoken with Gary since it,
Yeah, no, what are you asking me? I'm saying, like,
okay,
about me testifying on their behalf? Is that what you're asking me?
yeah, you talked to
Yes, yes. It didn't come up with me and Laquan directly, if that's what you're asking, or me and Gary directly. It came up with me and Gary's mom. I told her I'm going to let his lawyer know to put me on the witness list.
because these are your good friends, right?
Okay, enough to say good, yeah. I guess you could say that.
Now, you came out of that nightclub about a minute after Laquan, right?
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
And Jean was with you?
Yes,
Now, when you all start actually walking down, leaving the club, you guys are walking along 441, right? Pine?
we walked straight and stopped. We didn't walk the sidewalk.
You weren't walking down right along 441?
I walked 441 after the midst of the argument and Quan walking away.
Juan walked down 441, right?
No, Quan walked The parking lot area.
But before he got
The-
to the parking lot, the way he got there is he walked down 441, right?
He never walked down 441.
I'm talking about on the street itself.
Okay,
Just to be clear.
okay.
So, how about this? Can I have you show the jury here where it was?
Okay, what am I showing?
Where did Laquan walk? How did he walk to the parking lot?
And this the door?
Yeah.
Corner can't.
Judge, maybe better
Maybe
use
you guys
an
step
easel.
down.
He can't.
Go ahead, Mr. Conlon. Show the jury where Mr. Barrow was when he started walking toward. Right here? And where did he go?
On this side.
Okay, so he walked down to the side.
In this area, he ended up here. And I came, left Gene and Gary in this area. I came straight down the sidewalk this way. Met up with Quan right there.
And then where did you go? You guys all
We
walked down?
stayed right here because the shooting was going on. We stayed behind the truck right here.
So by the time you got from there to there, the shots happened?
The shots were ringing out as he's walking this way. That's why I thought he was the one being shot
I
at.
mean, this all happens pretty quick then.
Yes,
Okay, so you guys are there on the red spot, right?
yes.
And as you're there on the red spot, you see, you leave Gene, right?
Yes.
Now Gene, who do you walk up to Gene with? Who's on your right side?
Who did I walk up to Gene with?
Yeah.
I walked up to Gene, just me and him by himself. I didn't walk on the
There
right.
wasn't somebody else up there?
No, Gary and Herbert was right that's already in conversation.
That's Herbert Welcome.
That's correct.
He also goes by Danielle, right?
That's correct.
At any point today during your testimony, have you referred to a Danielle? Do you recall?
Yes.
Have you been talking about Danielle Kendrick?
No.
Okay. So you've been talking about Herbert Welcome.
Yes.
Now, so you and Gene are right there, and there's no one walks up to you with him.
No.
Okay. Somebody doesn't walk up to Gene, you guys kind of come up in close proximity to each other, kind of like get close where you can hand him something?
No.
No? Doesn't Gene run around the side of the building there? Up the north side?
I left Gene right there. I had this one.
Okay. And Gene, you don't see him run around?
Don't see Gene. I didn't look back. I don't see Gene go that way.
Okay, so Gene, after he goes somewhere, all
After I
you know is you're walking to the parking lot.
Yeah, after I leave Gene in this area, I'm walking this way, and I met up with Quan roughly right here.
And when you meet up with Quan roughly right there, is Gene part of the group?
No, I left Gene. Can't walk with me if I left him. I left
Okay.
Gene
Well,
standing
you-
right at my door.
People could catch up, right? You caught up.
He didn't. Gene wasn't where I was.
Okay. And out front, he was wearing a white tank top, right?
Might have been. Yeah, you can say so.
Okay, so he was wearing black in the club, white tank top out front.
Okay.
Red basketball shorts?
Red shorts, correct?
So, in the time it takes you to walk from the red spot over here to where the white truck was, there's gunfire.
Yes.
And when you hear the gunfire, you said Raquan does what?
He had his hands up. Who the fuck shooting? Who the fuck shooting?
That's how you know he wasn't shooting.
That's correct.
Okay. And then, after that, where do you go?
I stayed there for a second, and I walked over this way to Benicia.
Okay. You walk over there to Benitria, and then that's when you walk back inside the club, right?
Yeah.
You walk over Nate?
Walk, yeah, right by him.
Well, you walk over Danielle first, right?
I didn't see Danielle. I see Nate first.
Had she already been dragged out to a car at that point, do you know?
Possibility. I didn't see her when she was shot.
But you see Nate on the ground there,
Yeah.
right?
Correct.
Okay, the guy that your friends have just been arguing with,
Correct.
Nate's shot, right?
Correct.
In the chest, up here on the right side.
Yeah.
He looks like he's in pain.
Yes, he was.
And then what do? You just walk out the back of the club?
Yeah, we couldn't come back out the front. They let us out the back.
Alright, so where's Josh Rainey when all this is happening? Bird.
I don't know.
You saw Bird when you went out back.
I don't recall seeing Bird.
saw a bird inside and not again?
Yeah,
Just flew away?
Can't say flew away, but I didn't see him after that.
All right. Go ahead and see Mr. Collins. So if I could, do you think it would help you remember who you walked up to Michael Smith with to look at a short video clip to refresh your recollection?
Okay.
This would be this whole body camera. The first one I had it already queued up on my computer. If you're okay with me showing you that.
Judge, I would prefer this to be the entire video and not just the excerpt of the video.
Council approach.
Everybody good?
No. You're too tall, Tim. There you go.
Okay. So now you remember walking up to Gene?
Yes.
You remember you and Gene got pretty close, right?
Yes.
Close enough to hand him something?
I hand him something?
Close enough to hand him something. Should you have chosen to do so?
Yeah.
And who's that guy that was right to your right?
That's John.
John? What'd John hand Gene?
I don't know.
Handed him a gun, didn't he?
I didn't see.
And you didn't see Gene again that night, right?
No.
Do you remember what it was that, Laquan Barrett he was mad that night, right?
Both were mad. Yeah.
But Laquan was mad, right?
They both were mad. Yes.
And the witness be instructed to answer the question.
Answer the lawyer's question.
That's correct.
Laquan was angry.
Correct.
He was saying things that let you know he was angry, right?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Were you out there when he said, "Fuck the police"?
No.
What about when he said, "I should shoot the shit out of her"? You remember that?
No.
Shoot the shit out of him. You remember that?
No.
Remember him talking as he walked off about how he had bond money?
In the midst of them arguing, I wasn't paying attention to the argument. The words from both of them, I wasn't paying attention to.
What do you remember Laquan saying?
The words, I'm telling you, I didn't pay attention to them arguing words-wise. I would just...
That he had fire?
No words.
He was going to catch a body. Do you remember that?
Objection, Judge. Ask the answer.
Sustained.
And as Laquan's there, angry, it's Kiera Scott who's trying to hold him back, right?
Fair to say, yes.
But what actually gets Laquan to walk toward the parking lot is not Kiera Scott, is it?
I wouldn't know what got him to walk.
Well, you would agree that he started walking at the time that Michael Smith ran back up to him, right?
I didn't see Gene run up to him.
and people start, you remember everyone saying, he's straight, he's straight, he's straight.
I was on the other side at that time, so
What's that?
I was on the other side at that time,
Other side of what?
where the front red carpet is.
Okay, that's where you were.
Yes.
And you didn't
So
hear
the
the-
argument where Quan wasn't, what Quan's saying, I'm not hearing it.
How far away were you at that point on the red carpet from Quan?
You want me to show you?
Yeah.
I'm still in this area. The argument, Quan's this way, Nate's right here. So I'm not hearing everything from over here with the commotion at the door as well.
Okay, so Nate's kind of on the first red bump
No,
there.
Nate's not that direction.
Quan's there.
Quan's that direction.
All right, so Quan's over here, and Nate, and you're over here. Nate, Quan, you.
You put Nate in the wrong.
All right, come on down. Just make sure everyone can see. All right, where were you?
I'm in this area at the time still.
And where was Nate?
here, Nate's here, and that's the front door.
And that's at the time that
The
Quan started.
argument was going on, so I wasn't hearing. There's still a whole bunch of people along this line. I'm not hearing what's Quan saying at all. I'm not hearing it.
Doesn't Quan come back over here in this area, kind of between the red carpet and the road?
I never seen him over there,
And that's not when he begins walking back
no.
up?
No, Quan started working from this way over here. I came this way.
So Quan didn't start walking from the street.
I didn't see him over there.
I have nothing further.
Redirect.
Mr. Collins, did you ever see Laquan Barrow with a gun that night?
No, not at all.
Did you ever see Laquan Barrow fire a gun that night?
Not at all.
Mr. Bankowitz.
So Mr. McCord asked you, and I missed this, but he asked you what you were wearing. What did you tell him you were wearing that night?
Baby blue shirt, white shorts, pink and blue sneakers.
And you remember what Gary was wearing?
Gary was wearing like a greenish outfit.
I'm sorry?
A greenish outfit.
Greenish outfit?
Greenish, yes.
He had pink on?
Did he have pink?
Yeah, pink, like pink in his shirt, bright shirt.
I can't say for sure.
That night, did he have what could be called a mohawk haircut? You know what a mohawk is?
Yes. I don't think so. No.
You ever seen him with a mohawk?
No.
Sir, do you have gold teeth?
Yeah, I do.
Smile for us. Top and bottom?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Hawthorne.
Mr. Collins, I'm gonna show you what's been marked Defense Exhibit A. Do you recognize that to be a picture of Michael Smith?
Yes.
And what is he wearing?
Tank top, shorts, sneakers.
And is he inside or outside of the club?
I can't tell what they look like inside.
Could that have been the front door?
I can't say for sure, ma'am, but they look like it's inside.
Okay. In this picture, he's not wearing a black polo shirt, is he?
No, ma'am.
Did you see him dressed like that outside the club?
Fair to say, yes, ma'am.
Did you see him ever wearing a T-shirt with sleeves on it
Sleeves, short
that,
sleeves.
that says free beer or something like that?
No.
Do you know what happened to the black polo shirt that you said he was wearing?
I don't know what happened to it.
Okay. Could you have been mistaken and seen somebody else wearing a black polo shirt with red shorts?
No, he was wearing red shorts for sure. The shirt, it's a possibility that he might have, might not have been.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right. The witness excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can step down. Council approach. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, while not ideal, it's probably a good place to take our mid-morning break. I'm told the next witness will be approximately the same length, so I don't want you to get uncomfortable. So, Sergeant, if you would, close your pads, leave them on your chairs. This will be approximately 15 minutes, maybe a little more. All right, the jurors are out of the courtroom. We'll be in recess for approximately 15 minutes.
Judge, who do I give my witnesses to put them back there?
Okay, do you have somebody that can sit with them back there? Because the problem is that's a secure hallway, so,
Hawthorne has, I don't know, 5 or 6 deputies back there under subpoena.
okay,
I'm sure they'd be happy to.
okay.
Monitor.
It's just, that's my only concern.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right, as long as there's somebody back there, because there are judges and everybody else in that hallway, so, all right, we'll be in recess for about 15 minutes.
At this time, I anticipate only calling one other witness.
Okay.
And in regards to my client testifying, does he need to make that decision now, or can he make it after,
I'll let him make it after.
after all the other
Mhm,
witnesses?
that's fine. Even if I have to send the jury out for a few minutes, so that all of you can make that decision after you've finished. So, all right,
We're ready to proceed, Your Honor.
ready?
And Judge, my witness is out there. He's going to come from there to the front.
Okay. All right, let's return the juries. All right, Mr. Gorley, call your next witness.
All right, this time the defense would call to stand Kiera Scott.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Have a seat. Mr. Gorley?
Kiara, introduce yourself to the jury by telling them your name, and then please spell your name for the court reporter.
My name is Kiara Scott. That's Kiara, Scott, Scott.
And how is it that you know my client, Laquan Barrow?
Cousins through marriage.
And how long have you known him, approximately?
All my life, pretty much.
Okay. Do you live in here in Marion County?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And are you employed here in Marion County?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I work for FedEx.
How long have you worked for them?
I've been with FedEx for about a year now.
Okay. If I could, I'd like to take you back to September 13th, the Cloud 9 incident. How did you get to the nightclub that evening?
We drove.
Okay, when you say we, who is we?
Me and Laquan.
Okay, how did you get there, and what kind of vehicle?
In a pickup truck.
Okay. And when you arrived, what did you do?
We proceeded to go inside of the club.
Okay. Did you see Gary King at the nightclub before you went in?
Not before we went in.
Okay. Do you know how he got to the club?
I'm guessing he drove.
Okay. Why is it that you're guessing? Did you see his car
I
there?
see the car that he usually drives, but
what-
I seen the car afterwards.
Okay. What kind of car was that?
It's a black Kia.
And did anything unusual happen while you were inside the club that night?
While I was in the club, While I was in the club, there was a fight.
Okay. What were you wearing that night?
I don't recall the bottom half I had on, but I know I did have a white shirt on.
Okay. Was it a T-shirt?
Yes, sir. All white T-shirt.
And were you drinking inside the club?
Yes, sir. I had a drink.
Okay. How much did you have to drink, if you can remember?
I actually didn't even get to finish the whole cup. I put it down.
Okay. Why?
To try to prevent Maisha from fighting.
Okay. What happened?
She didn't want to stop, so I backed up to my drink, picked my drink back up, and
When you say she, who are you referring to?
Maisha.
Okay. And who was she fighting with?
At the time, the girl named Dee Dee.
Okay. Do you know if they have a history of fighting each other?
That I don't know.
So what happened as a result of Maisha and Dee Dee fighting?
They were kicked out of the club.
Did Quan at any time become involved in that you saw?
Not that I saw, no, sir.
Okay. Did you see him get escorted out of the club?
I did not see him get escorted out of the club.
Okay. At some point in time, do you leave the club?
Leave from inside of the club
And
or
go outside?
Yes, sir.
What do you see when you get outside?
Well, when I got back outside, at that time, my attention was focused back on Maisha, trying to get her to calm down.
Was Danielle Kendrick or Dee Dee outside the club?
I'm not aware. I wasn't paying attention to her.
Okay. Maisha was angry?
Yes.
Okay. And what were you doing to try to calm her down?
I was holding her.
And while that was going on, was Laquan inside or outside the club?
That I don't know. At that time, I was full focus on Maisha.
Okay. At some point in time, did your focus change from Maisha to Laquan?
Yes, sir, it did.
Okay. Why did that happen?
Because I noticed Laquan started to get angry, and like I said, while I was trying to hold Maisha back, she didn't really want to cooperate, so I just eventually let her go.
Okay. And what did you do with Laquan?
I bear hugged him.
Okay. Grabbed him around the body?
Yes, sir. Grabbed
Okay.
him around him.
And did you do anything else to him?
I just kept telling him, just calm down. Whatever, I don't know what's going on, but whatever it is, it's not worth it.
Was he trying to get into the door?
Of the club?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where he was trying to get, but wherever he was trying to get, I wasn't letting him get there.
Okay. And you were pushing him away from where he was going?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And during this time, did you have your hands on him?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Were you able to feel or tell whether he had any kind of weapon on him at that point?
At that point, no, sir. I didn't feel any kind of weapon
Okay.
or anything. Like I said, I was bear hugging him, not just holding him, bear hugging him.
All right. So you were close to his body?
Yes, sir.
He didn't have a gun in his hands?
No, sir.
Didn't feel one in his pocket?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, when that happened, at some point, did Nate come outside?
Yes.
Okay. And were they arguing with each other?
Yes, there was.
And were you still with Laquan?
I was still with Laquan.
Were you still keeping him?
I was still bear hugging him.
Okay. Were you saying anything to him?
Once again, just chill out. Just chill out. It's not worth it.
Okay. And what happened during that time?
During that time, while I was holding them, we're out closer towards the street, towards 441. That's when I recall Gary King walking over and tapping him on the shoulder and was like, "Cuz, you just need to chill. You just need to chill. Like, what's going on? You tripping? Like, you need to calm down."
Okay. And you were still by him, and he was still keeping him back?
I still had him bear hug.
You weren't going to let him get to?
No.
Okay. So, did things change?
Yes, it did.
How did that happen?
Well, while I was bear hugging him, out my ear I could hear someone saying, "Y'all better move. Y'all better move. I'm telling you, y'all better move." At the first, when he first said it, you know, it kind of just went in one ear and out the other. But he kept repeatedly saying it. I never took my eye off Laquan to see who that person was, I just could hear him saying, I'm telling y'all, y'all better move, y'all better back up.
And did you move Laquan away?
I steady bear hugging him, walking him backwards.
Okay. And then what happened?
Then he kept repeating it. That's when it kind of like registered in my head, like I said, because I didn't know who it was. So in my mind, okay, he's saying we better move for a reason. Something could possibly happen to me. So like that's when I let go of Laquan. Like as soon as I let him go, that's when the shots started firing.
Did you see Laquan fire any shots?
No, sir, not at all.
Did Laquan have a gun that he could have fired any
No,
shots?
sir, he did not.
Could you tell where the shots came from?
It wasn't far from where I was, but I can't tell you exactly where the shots came from.
Did you see who was firing the shots?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you ever see at any point in this time Laquan fire a gun?
No, sir, I did not.
At some point in time after this, you went to the sheriff's office, correct?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did they take a statement from you?
Yes, they did.
All right. While you were there, did they mention anything to you about a McDonald's video?
Yes. The guy that was in there, he kept.
Sustained.
When you were there, were you threatened in any way?
Yes, I was. He told me if he found out any more information or if I wasn't telling the truth that I was going to be locked up for, I don't recall what he said it was, but he was pretty much telling me if I wasn't telling him the full truth, or he was pretty much trying to get me to change what I was saying.
And in any way during your statement, did you change your story in any way whatsoever?
No, sir. He asked me, was I sticking to that story? I told him 100%.
At some point in time after you were interviewed, the person interviewing you left, correct?
Yes, he did.
All right. Where was he going?
He told me he was going to get the video he said he had from McDonald's from McDonald's saying that Laquan was shooting.
Okay. And what did you tell him that if he showed up with the video, it would show?
I told him if he showed up with the video, then I'll shut the hell up.
Okay. Did you tell him what it would show?
Huh?
Did you tell him whether it would show Laquan shooting or not?
I don't recall me telling him whether it showed that or not, but I just told him that I know Laquan didn't have a gun. I had him bear hugged the whole time, and like I told him, if I'm bear hugging him, I would be able to feel a gun on his waist, or anywhere else for that matter.
Okay. And you didn't feel any of that?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Vankowitz.
Mr. Scott, do you know Gary King?
Yes, sir, I do.
Did you see him there that night when the shots took place?
Not when the shots took place, I didn't see him, but right before the shots took place, I did.
And right before the shots rang out, what did you see Mr. King doing?
Once again, like I said, he walked up to me and Laquan, tapped Laquan on the shoulder, and told him he needed to calm down. Whatever was going on, he just needed to chill.
Okay. And did you tell the police that when you did your interview?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Do you remember what Gary was wearing?
No, sir, I don't.
Did you see anybody in bright clothes like pinks and blues and yellows?
I don't recall.
Does that jog your memory as to maybe what Gary might have been wearing or wasn't wearing?
No, sir, it doesn't.
Okay. Now, you said that someone kept saying, y'all better move, y'all better move. Was that coming from behind you or the side of you, or could you tell?
I would say more saved from, like, kind of on the side, but still in the back.
Behind you to the side?
Yeah, maybe like towards that angle.
Could you see who was saying that?
No, sir, I couldn't.
Do you know an individual by the name of Patrick Emanuel?
Yes, that's her, I do know.
Did you see him there that night?
No, sir, I don't recall seeing him.
When you saw Gary King Well, first, strike that. When you were in the club, did you see him in the club?
I saw him inside of the club, yes, sir.
And what was he doing inside the club?
We were just all having a great time.
Did you see him get involved in the fight that happened in the club between the young ladies?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you ever see Gary King with a gun that night?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you ever see any bulges in his pants or under his shirt that would indicate he may have had a gun?
No, sir.
And when he was standing there telling Mr. Barrow to chill out, cuz chill out, could you see if he had a gun?
No, sir, he did not have a gun.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Hawthorne?
Good morning, Mr. Scott.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Mr. Scott, that evening, do you recall if you saw my client, Michael Smith?
I don't recall seeing him that night.
Okay. Not inside
No, ma'am.
the club?
No, ma'am.
Not outside the club?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Where did you go afterward, after you left Cloud 9?
We went back to Laquan's grandmother's house.
And when you got there, was my client there?
No, ma'am.
Was he there at any time that you were there?
No, ma'am, he was not.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Ross?
Mr. Scott, might the police officers have been telling you that they had a McDonald's video if they didn't, to see if that had an effect on what you told them?
Can you repeat the question?
Might the police officers have told you they had a video from McDonald's, even if they didn't, to see if it affected what you told them?
That's possible.
And what they told you was if you didn't tell the truth, you can get in trouble.
Well, he didn't say in trouble. Those wasn't his words.
You said it was a crime to lie during a homicide investigation. Is that right?
I don't recall exactly what he said.
This Patrick Emanuel fellow, he had dreads, right?
At the time of that, I don't know.
They were long, about down to his shoulder.
I just said I don't know.
All right, so Laquan Barrow, he's a friend of yours?
Yes.
And so he's more than just family.
If you want to call it that, yes.
Are you friends with all your family members?
Yes, I am. That's family.
Friends with Laquan?
Yes, I am.
You known him all your life?
Pretty much.
Gary King, you friends with him too?
Yes, sir.
You've
Pretty
known
much.
him about all your life, right?
Yes, sir.
You think you're about equally close with those two guys, right?
Not per se.
What do you mean, not per se?
I hang around Laquan more.
Are you and Laquan much closer than you and Gary?
I don't know what you would mean by much closer.
You said that you're closer with Quan than Gary.
That's what I just said.
You ever say anything differently?
Repeat
You
that.
ever said anything different?
Not that I recall.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at a copy of your deposition transcript from November 22nd?
Sure, if you have it.
The council, page 6, line 14 and 15. Just go ahead and read that to yourself, Mr. Scott. 14, 15. 16, 17.
Okay.
Okay, what question were you asked then?
I was asked if I was, who was I closer with, and my answer was both.
Same.
Both, yes, same.
You were asked about equal, and you said.
Yes.
Now, Michael Eugene Smith, you don't know him quite as well, do you?
No, sir.
But you've seen him at parties and stuff.
Yes, I have.
Okay, he hangs out with Quan at parties.
I wouldn't necessarily say hang out with Quan. He's there. He's hanging out with everybody.
But when he's and he hangs out with Gary at parties.
He hangs out with everybody.
But you would agree that when he's at a party, he's hanging out with Quan.
Ruled at the moment.
When he's at a party, he's hanging out with Quan.
Yes.
And Gary, when Gary's there.
Sure. Yes.
Now, Maisha Barrow, that's Laquan's sister.
Yes, sir. It is.
She's also family to you.
Yes, sir.
How close are you with her?
She's family. That's the only way I could describe that to you.
At this point in time, what part of the county did Mr. Barrow live in?
The Silver Spring Shores.
9324 Spring Terrace?
I don't know the exact address.
But it's out there kind of by the old BP station,
Yes, sir.
near, I think, a place called Club Rush.
Yes.
And that night, you and Laquan were at his grandma's house before you went to the club, correct?
Yes.
And then when you guys left the house, did you stop anywhere before you went to the club?
No, we went straight to the club.
You didn't stop at the Marathon station?
Not that I recall.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at a copy of the transcript of the interview you gave with the detectives the following day?
Sure.
Counsel, page 8, line 9.
Let's go ahead and start reading there. You remember, does that refresh your memory?
Yes, sir, it does.
Now, do you remember stopping at the Marathon station?
Yes, sir. Well, I remember, that's what the paper just said.
You remember why you stopped there?
The statement just said to get T-shirts.
And you got a white shirt?
Yes, sir, I did.
Juan got a black shirt?
I don't recall what color shirt he got, but he got a shirt.
Now, you say as you sit in court that you remember you were wearing a white shirt.
I remember I was wearing a white shirt.
When did you remember that?
I always remember that.
You remember being asked that question on the 22nd?
On the 22nd?
Yeah. Last month.
Last month?
Yeah, at your deposition?
What shirt I was wearing?
Yeah, you remember being asked what color shirt you were wearing?
No, I don't remember being asked that.
Counsel, page 9. Line 15 through 17.
Sorry, 12 through 17. You were asked the question. Begin reading there to yourself and read through line 17.
Okay.
Okay.
So you were asked that question about 2 weeks ago, right?
Yes.
You didn't remember then, but you remember now?
Yeah, I remember.
What did you do in the meantime to jog your memory?
You guys asked me over and over what color shirt I was wearing. You told me what color shirt I was wearing. That's what jogged my memory.
Okay. But I actually mentioned what color shirt you were wearing when I first met you in the lobby to bring you back, right?
Yes, you did. You tried to make a joke about it. You
Right.
said it was to lighten the situation,
Right. You
but
were wearing a white shirt, right?
Mhm.
And I said, "Oh, you're wearing what you were wearing that night,
Mhm.
right?" And then we went back and did the deposition, right?
Okay.
And you didn't remember then, even after having said that to you, right?
I won't say I didn't remember, but
But in the deposition, when you were asked, you said you didn't recall. That fair?
that's what the paperwork said. Yes, sir.
About what time did you get to Cloud 9?
I don't recall what time it was.
You were driving a black Chevy that night?
Never said a black Chevy.
It was a black truck?
It was a pickup truck. I don't recall what color it was.
You don't recall what color it was? Do you recall whether it was a Chevy?
I don't recall whether it was Chevy.
Would it help you to refresh your recollection to look at a copy of the interview you gave with Detective Miller and Detective Voracek that day?
No, because I remember what I said.
You said you do remember what you don't know?
I remember what I said that day.
Okay. So the day after the shooting, what did you tell them?
Oh, the day after the shooting? I thought you was talking about the
No,
last.
sir, my apologies. The day after the shooting, do you remember what you told them? What
No,
color
sir,
truck
I
it
don't.
was? Would it help you look at your deposition to refresh your memory,
Sure.
or your interview? And counsel, now I'm looking at the interview, page 9, line 21.
20 to 21. Read there. That question to yourself.
Okay.
Through 24. Okay.
You were asked then, what were you driving? What was your answer?
Black pickup truck.
And What make did you give?
Chevy.
And you were asked if you were sure, right?
Yes.
And you were sure.
Yes. At the time I was.
You thought it might be a Silverado?
Possibly.
Had 4 seats,
Yes, it did.
and that was Laquan's truck?
It was a rental.
A rental. Laquan ordinarily drives a Charger, right?
Yes.
But you're not sure if that rental was in his name, are you?
No, I'm not sure.
And Laquan drove there?
Yes.
You rode up front?
Yes, I did.
And when you got there, you parked on the side of the club, right?
Yes.
Kind of there in the first row of cars?
Yes, sir.
You're closer to the front of the club?
Yes, sir.
And the front of the truck is actually facing the club, right?
Yes, sir. Well, it's facing the side of the club, but it's past the club, so
And if you're looking out the front window, you can look at kind of 441?
yes,
Okay, McDonald's?
yes. Is that
Yeah.
the front window of the car or the front window of the club?
Front window of the car?
No.
No?
If you look out the front window of the truck, you see past the club. Club's here, you see past the club.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Scott, I'm going to show you this little clip here. You guys are parked right up in that area, right?
I would say it was a little bit further up.
This way?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so kind of near where that little dark square is?
Somewhere around there, but if I recall, it was a little bit further up.
Okay. So around here or further up?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, and the car's facing, so when you look out, you're looking that way.
Yes.
And that's toward 441. Gary King was parked next to you, right?
Yes, he was.
And you know that because when you came out, Gary King's Kia was still there, right?
Yes, sir.
That's his mom's Kia.
Yes.
Gary drives it.
Yes.
And Gary was closer to 441 than you all, right?
Yes.
Now, when you get to the club tonight, you got to go inside, right?
Yes, sir.
Show your ID.
Yes, you do.
And you know a guy named China White?
I know of him.
Did you see him inside that night?
No, sir, I didn't.
But Gary was inside, right?
Yes, sir.
And Gene?
I didn't see him that night.
You didn't see him that night at all?
No, sir.
Not inside, not outside.
No, sir.
Now, you're saying you don't know who fired the guns, right?
Yes, sir.
You don't know how many people were shooting.
No.
But you agree it's possible that when you were ducking and covering, Laquan could have shot a gun, right?
I don't agree that he could have shot a gun.
You don't agree it's possible?
I mean, anything is possible.
Including that.
If you want to put it that way, yes, sir. Anything is possible.
How tall are you?
I'm about 6'1", 6'2".
Laquan's a little shorter than you, right?
Yes, he is.
When you're bear hugging Laquan, what part of his body are you hugging?
More of his... Yes, sir.
Under his arms, right?
It's fair to say Laquan wasn't wearing a shoulder holster under his jacket, right?
No, he wasn't wearing no...
Under his
holster.
shirt?
No.
Now, Laquan... Or you weren't grabbing Laquan around the knees, were you?
No, I wasn't.
You'd agree that's probably about where Laquan's pockets sat, right?
Where his knees was?
Knees, lower mid-thigh, that's where his pockets were?
Sure, yes. That's where most pockets are.
And just to, remember what Laquan was wearing that night?
Again, no, sir, I don't recall.
State's 36A counsel. Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Okay. And that's his girlfriend, Shigeri, in there, right?
Yes, sir, it is.
And she's got her arms around him?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And she got her arms right at his, and he's got his right arm kind of down at his side, right?
Yes, sir.
And his, the kind of the elbow is right about where her hand is, right?
Yes, sir.
You'd agree your elbow falls right about your waist, right? A little above your belly button?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then Laquan's pockets are about, they're probably further down from where her hand is
It's clearly.
than her hand is from his head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so the pockets are pretty low, right?
Yeah, but it's clearly above his knees.
Okay. Right. Thigh, right?
Yes.
And if Laquan had a gun in that pocket at that point in time, you may not have felt it, right?
I disagree.
Because you were touching him down there?
I'm wrestling with him. I'm hugging him. He's trying to get off of me. I would have felt the gun, especially if I'm bear hugging him from the front, his front pockets. You're going to feel a gun in there. You're going to feel something in there.
What if he had a gun in his back pocket?
Did the state publish states 36A to the jury?
Yes, sir.
At the time of the shooting, you were ducking, right?
At the time of the shooting, yes, I was.
You're trying to stay clear of bullets?
Yes, I was.
And you and Laquan had already separated by the time of the shooting, right?
Yes.
You don't know what he was doing after the shooting began, do you?
No, sir.
You don't know where Gary was after he told Quan to chill, do you?
No, sir.
You don't know where he went.
I just answered that. No, sir.
You don't know what direction he went.
No, sir.
And you really can't say where he was at all, can you?
Who are you
Gary
referring to?
King?
No, sir.
And you hear someone say, y'all better move, but you don't know who said that, do you?
No, sir, I don't.
After the shooting, you guys left?
Yes, we did.
And you drove away?
Yes, I drove away.
And Laquan was in the truck?
Juan was in the truck. He was in the passenger seat.
Shigeri
Shigeri
was in the back?
Shigeri was right behind him.
You said you left through the entrance onto 441, right?
Yes, sir.
You didn't see any police cars?
I don't recall seeing police cars.
You didn't see any police officers, did you?
I don't recall.
You ever been at a scene like this one, Mr. Scott?
No, sir.
I mean, when this happened, did you know a young lady died that night?
No, I didn't.
Shigerian didn't tell you when she got back in the truck?
No.
She didn't tell you she'd been up there looking at the body?
She didn't tell me any of that.
What's the objection? Sustained.
So you don't recall seeing any police cars pull up there?
Not that I recall at the time, no, sir.
Afterwards, you go to Laquan's grandma's?
Yes, sir, we did.
Then you all go to Greenfields?
No. I went to Greenfields. I don't know what they did. I went home.
Now, Shigerian, after the shooting, was trying to get you guys to leave, right?
I wouldn't say Shigeri was trying to get us to leave. I was trying to leave. It was just a crazy scene. It's time to go.
You remember her going, let's go, let's go, let's go?
No, I don't recall her saying that.
Would anything refresh your recollection about whether she said it?
Not that I know of.
One moment, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
So when Laquan goes out of the club, are you already outside?
I don't recall when exactly Laquan got taken out of the club.
But you remember he got taken out?
I know he was outside the club. I didn't see him get taken out.
Was Maisha already out
By when?
when you first saw Laquan?
Was she already out? Well, yeah, because I went to Maisha first.
Maisha was up by the Oyster Bar?
Yeah, I walked her that way.
And Maisha was pretty angry that night, right?
Yes, she was.
Now the fight inside the club, who was it between?
Maisha and a girl named Dee Dee.
And Maisha was still mad when she was outside, right?
Yes, she was.
She's marching around. Yes?
Yes,
Looking to fight?
yes.
Where were you when you first got a hold of Quan?
I don't recall the exact location.
Now, when you were over there at the Oyster Bar, did Laquan walk up there?
No,
Remember? You don't remember him walking that way?
no, I don't.
Remember him yelling, "I've been sparing y'all because of Merv"?
No, I don't recall hearing that at all.
Were you with him when he was walking back toward the club?
Depends on when he was walking back.
You see the young lady with the camera?
No, I didn't see anyone with a camera. I wasn't focused on that.
So after you get back in front of the club, you get hold of Quan?
Yes,
And then after that, you hold him?
yes, I did.
And you keep holding him?
I kept holding him.
You didn't let go until right before the shot started, right?
Yes, sir.
How long before the shot started did you let go?
I don't recall that.
Not more than 10 seconds?
I don't recall that.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at a copy of a transcript of your deposition from week before last?
Sure, but I remember telling you I don't recall that. So you can bring it up here if you want.
Okay. You said you agree it's pretty close in time, right?
Yes,
And then you remember I said pretty close can mean a lot of things?
yes, I do remember you
Counted
saying that.
1001, 1002.
You counted, I didn't count.
I counted. You
Yes.
listened.
Yeah,
And then after that, do you remember being asked about how long it was?
and if I'm not mistaken, I recall telling you I don't know. I remember you trying to give me an estimate and making me try to get me to agree with it, but I remember telling you I don't recall.
Council page 21, beginning of line 7. You read that?
It says, no, I don't think. It doesn't say yes or no.
Okay. But I asked, do you think it was more than 10 seconds, right?
Mhm.
Yes? Then you said you don't think it was more than 10 seconds, right?
I told you I don't recall.
Okay. But you said that though, right?
It says, no, I don't think.
It was more than 10 seconds,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
And then the next question was, so it was less than 10 seconds after you let go of Quan and you first hear the gunshots. Then what did you say?
yeah,
You agreed with that, right?
You agreed it was less than 10 seconds. Okay.
And I actually gave, and you said I was just trying to get you to agree with me. You actually disagreed with me before you agreed, right? Yes?
yes,
When you let go of him, you were in front of the club?
Yes,
Just a little bit south of the door?
yes.
Step on down, Mr. Scott. And around the time you let go of Laquan, where are you? Not over here?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Is it further?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the end.
I said no, it was further south.
So we're moving along here.
Down there.
So that little bump that comes up there near the corner, straight out from that toward the road? Yes?
Yes.
Now remember, you gotta say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
It's right over here, you let go of Quan, right? And that's as you guys are walking down, right? As you're walking from the little red carpet area down toward this way,
Yes.
you let go of him there, right?
Around in that area.
And then 1001, 1002, up to 1010, and then gunfire,
Yes.
right? So it wasn't a minute?
Wasn't a minute,
Yeah, it wasn't a minute, was it?
a whole minute.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a whole minute.
It wasn't 2 minutes, was it?
No, it wasn't 2 minutes.
Was it 2.5 minutes?
No, it wasn't 2.5 minutes.
At that point, do you run back to the truck?
I ran, yeah, towards the truck, ducking down.
And Quan ran back toward the truck?
I don't know where Laquan went at.
Where was the next time you saw Laquan?
After everything, after all the shots.
What made Laquan, you said you had to hold on, what made you let go of Laquan at the end?
Once again, hearing the guy repeat over and over, we better move.
And better move was about 10 seconds before the gunshots?
I don't recall.
It wasn't Michael Smith running back up to you guys?
Like I said, I don't recall seeing Michael Smith that night.
Wasn't somebody running back up to you guys?
Nobody ran up to me, or
When you had Laquan there by 441 right in front of the club, nobody ran up by you guys?
no, nobody ran up. Gary walked up and, like I said, Laquan, you tripping, you need to chill out. But other than that, nobody ran up to us.
No one was going, he's straight, he's straight, he's straight. You don't remember that?
No, sir, I don't recall that.
Now, a moment ago, I was asking you whether or not you recalled Shagarian pulling on him, saying, let's go, let's go.
Yes. So, here's that.
Council approach. The objection will be overruled.
I was asking about whether or not you recalled Shagarian saying, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. And you don't remember that?
I don't recall that, no, sir.
And you told me you'd like to see a copy of that transcript, right? Page 17 of the interview, line 20.
When was this interview?
It's the one the following day that you did with Detective Miller and Detective Voracek.
Okay.
17:21.
Remember that now?
I still don't remember it, but that's what the statement said.
Where was Shagarian right after the shooting? Was she right next to Quan?
I don't recall where Chicane was right after the shooting.
She pulling on him?
I don't recall what she was doing right after the shooting.
Do you remember giving a statement, the one I just showed you?
I remember giving a statement, but I don't remember saying that.
But you agree that you did say that she was pulling on him saying, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
I agree, that's what the paperwork says.
And once you got a hold of Quan, you're bear hugging him, right?
Yes, sir.
Not letting him go?
Yes, sir.
You had to bear hug him, right?
Yes, sir.
You weren't going to let him go, were you?
No, sir, I wasn't.
You were up in his face?
I'm bear hugging him, so yeah.
You thought he might do something stupid?
I was keeping him from doing anything.
Including something stupid?
If those are your words, then okay. Once again, I was keeping him from doing anything.
Your word. You want to? I think you just said that my words were you're not going to let him do anything stupid.
I said if those were yours, I didn't say those were your words.
Could those be your words, Mr.
It
Scott?
could be. It could be. Possibly. Yes, sir.
May I approach the witness?
Yes.
Mr. Scott, I want you to look at this as the interview counsel, page 14, line 16.
Okay.
So what you told the detectives was you told Laquan, you're not fixing to do nothing stupid. I'm not fixing to let you do nothing stupid.
Okay.
Right? Those are your words, not mine, right?
Okay.
Because you thought Laquan might do something stupid, right?
Yes, sir. It was possible.
And you had your full focus on trying not to let him do anything dumb, right?
Yes, sir.
Your words? Your words? Your full focus to not let him do anything dumb?
Well, you just said the paperwork said stupid. The paperwork just said stupid. What I just read.
Page 16, line 11.
We'll start there at the end of line 9.
Okay, that's what it says.
You know once he gets riled up, you don't want that to happen, right?
Nope.
So your full focus is on trying to get him not do anything dumb.
Yes, sir. That was my full focus.
Nothing further.
Redirect.
Mr. Scott, you gave that statement over 2 years ago.
Over 2
correct?
years ago, yes, sir.
Okay. And in those 2 years, in regards to specific words, can you recall what you said 2 years ago?
No, sir, I can't. It's not possible.
And is your meaning as to why you were holding him back the same as your meaning when you told them about him not wanting him to do anything stupid? We're done.
Can you put that?
You didn't want Quan to get in trouble when you were holding him back,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And by that, I mean fighting with Nate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And afterwards, you would agree, was the scene, how was the scene?
The scene was chaotic.
Okay. And is that why you left in a hurry?
Yes, sir.
At any time in your statements, did you ever tell any of the detectives 2 years ago that it took 10 seconds before the shooting took place after releasing Quan?
No, sir, I don't recall that.
Who was the only one that started this 10 seconds?
I don't recall his name, but the guy with the red tie on, the white shirt, black jacket.
Do you recall? At least you weren't called white hair. In those statements that you gave 2 years ago and recently, do you recall what you said in regards to how long it took place after you released Quan and the shots occurred?
No, sir, I don't.
Was it was it seconds almost?
Yes.
Did you at any time ever see Quan go to a car and get a gun?
No, sir, I didn't. I was bear hugging him the whole time. Couldn't get to a car.
Did you ever see him go to a truck and
No,
get a
sir.
gun?
No, sir.
And if Quan had had something like a firearm, which is heavy, would you have been able to detect it from what you were doing with him?
Yes, sir, I would have felt it.
And if somebody had a cell phone video and they were recording it out there, would that video show how you were manhandling him?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you went to the state attorney's office and we were waiting upstairs on the 5th floor of this building,
Yes, sir.
do you remember what you were wearing?
I know I had on a white shirt. I can't remember the bottoms I had on, but I know I had a white shirt on. Again.
And do you remember the state attorney asking you about that? Or making a comment to you?
Yes, sir, I do.
What did he say?
He was like, "Oh, so you got on a white shirt, same color, same shirt you had on that night of the murder." Like, he tried to claim it was to lighten up the mood, but I mean.
Did you tell him something about that?
Yes, I did.
What did you tell him?
I told him I felt like that didn't lighten up the mood. He said, "Well, I was just trying to lighten up the mood." I told him, "Well, to me, I felt like you made the mood worse."
You tell him that it was inappropriate?
Yes, I did.
You brought it up?
That was very inappropriate. I felt like he was trying to be funny, like he was trying to make jokes.
You stop answering while
Okay.
the attorneys are objecting. I'm not overruling it, but let's move on.
When you heard the shots, would it have been possible for Quan to begin shooting also?
To my knowledge, no, sir.
Because of what?
Because I was holding him back the whole time. Once again, I never felt the gun on him or anything that was even considerably close to being heavy or anything sort of a gun, of a weapon.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Ms. Hawthorne?
Mr. Scott,
Yes, ma'am.
when you were hearing the person say you better all move or y'all better move,
Yes, ma'am.
could that have been a security guard?
It's possible. Yes, ma'am.
Were security outside?
Security was outside because they were escorting people outside.
Was the club closing down?
Yes, ma'am, I believe so.
And would it be fair to say they didn't want people hanging around outside the front of the club?
That's fair to say.
Okay. And, did you ever see Michael Smith run up to Quan at any time right before the shooting started?
No, ma'am, I don't recall seeing Mr. Michael Smith that night.
Anywhere near Quan?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else? All right. Is he excused? All right. You can go about your business. Thank you. Mr. Gorley, any other witnesses at this point? All right. Mr. Bankowitz?
Yeah, Mr. King, we call for welcome.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Have a seat.
Sir, would you tell us your full name and spell your name for the court reporter?
Herbert Welcome, HERBERTWELCOME,
Mr. Welcome, do you have a nickname?
Danielle.
Now, I want to direct your attention back to September 13th of 2015. Were you at Cloud 9?
Yeah.
About what time did you get there?
About toward the end of it. Well, like about 1 something, I think.
Excuse me?
I think like around 1 something like that.
All right. Can you scoot up a little bit and talk into the microphone so everybody can hear you? And who were you with? Anyone?
I was with one of my homeboys from Leesburg.
And who's that?
His name, I call him B.
Okay. You weren't with Gary King or Laquan Barrow or Michael Smith, were you?
No.
And do you know those three people?
Yeah.
And how do you know them? How do you know Mr. King, first of all?
He my friend.
Good friends?
Yeah.
And had you discussed with him going to the club that night or meeting at the club or anything like that?
We had probably talked about it earlier that day because I told him I wasn't going.
Okay. And how do you know Mr. Smith?
That's my cousin.
Your cousin? Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you know Mr. Barrow?
My friend.
And when you got to the club that night, what was happening as you walked up?
Quan was coming out the club. He came out and we walked up and he was telling me something had happened or whatever. And I was like,
Telling you something that happened in the club?
yeah, in the club.
All right. And was there any kind of commotion going on, or were they clearing the club, or could you tell?
He came out by himself. He came out by himself first, and then when he was telling me, like shortly after, like other people started coming out.
And how long after Mr. Barrow came out did Mr. King come out?
He came out probably like 5-10 seconds behind him.
So pretty much right behind him.
Yeah.
And at the time that you first saw Gary King, did he have a gun?
No.
Do you know him to carry a gun?
No.
What was Mr. King doing when you first came out?
Nothing. We dapped each other up and we gave each other the 5 handshake. And then he came right there, and then that's when somebody else started talking to me. Like another dude came up who was with the Nate dude, and he was like, "Hey, you know what I mean?
All right.
They tripping."
You remember how Gary was dressed?
I think he had on a collared shirt.
Collared shirt, like a polo shirt?
Yeah.
You remember what color?
Might have been green.
Green. And do you remember if he had real bright colors on, pinks, yellows, blues?
No.
You don't remember, or he didn't?
I don't remember him having it on, no.
Was there an altercation that happened or started to happen outside the club there after they all came out?
Yeah.
And who was that between?
The dude, Nate. No, first it was the girls.
The girls fighting too? Still fighting?
They was trying to. Then they had done pepper sprayed or whatever.
Who's pepper sprayed them?
The girl who had on the black.
So one of the ladies pepper sprayed the other one?
Yeah. I think they call her Dee Dee. Or something like that. I don't really know him like that though.
Okay. And what was Mr. King doing during this time?
Then we was standing right there. It was like commotion going on. We was standing like right there. But I was
right next to him?
Yeah.
And was he saying anything or doing anything?
Nah, we was looking because we was sitting right there looking. Then I tried to grab Maisha back, like pull her back some when they pepper sprayed.
And you remember seeing Nate, person by the name of Nate? You mentioned Nate earlier.
Yeah, I seen him.
What was he doing?
He wasn't out the club right then when that happened, but he came out shortly after. And he came out and he was trying to fight Quan.
When you say trying to talk to Quan, how was he talking?
Nah, he was trying to fight him. He said he wanted to fight. He came out talking junk, said he wanted to fight. So we faced towards him. And he made it clear, I want to fight Quan. So they started arguing with each other.
Was there a time that you can recall ever seeing Quan Barrow, Gary King, and Michael Smith, 1, 2, 3, facing Nate?
Nah.
At any time?
Never.
Okay. Did you see Gary King take a handgun out of a pocket or from his pants or from anywhere else?
No.
Did you ever see Gary King go to a vehicle to get something from the vehicle?
No.
So from the time that you were there until the shots were fired, did Gary King ever leave your sight?
No.
So you saw him the whole time?
Yep.
And you never saw him with a gun?
No.
Never saw him fire a gun?
No.
Now, Gary's got gold teeth, right?
Yeah,
You've got gold teeth, right?
yeah.
You smile for us? Did Gary King have a mohawk that evening? You know what a mohawk is?
Nah.
Haircut.
I
that's
know
real-
what a mohawk is, but we don't rock those.
Was he much the same as here, much the same as it is today?
He looking a little worse than now, but yeah, he was great.
You know a person by the name of Patrick Emanuel. Have you ever heard that name before?
Yeah,
You see him there that night?
no.
When you heard the shots, what were you doing?
He was standing right there by each other. Me, Quan, and G was standing right there, across from Nate and the people he was with, right there in front of them.
What did you do when you heard the shots?
I ducked and ran like right there. It was a truck out front right there. I ran right there and
white
bent.
or cream colored truck,
White truck.
Dodge truck.
Mm-hmm.
And what did Gary do?
I guess he ran too. I mean, everybody's clear when the shots went. Yeah.
Did you see him later that night after the gunfire?
Yeah.
And where were you when you saw him then?
I went to his house.
Do you know how he left the area?
No.
Did you see him leave?
No.
How did you leave?
I was left with the dude I was with after they stopped shooting.
Okay. And so you went to Gary's house?
Yeah.
Who was there?
Him.
Just him?
Yeah. Him, and I don't know of anybody else, but I wasn't really looking. I was talking to him.
Do you know a person by the nickname of China White?
Yeah.
Was he there?
Nope.
You ever see him drive that black Kia that Gary was driving?
I don't know I don't know how they got to the club that night.
That's all I have at this time, Judge.
Ms. Hawthorne?
Mr. Welcome, I'm showing you defense A. Do you recognize that person?
Yeah.
Is that Michael Smith?
It looked like him.
Did you see him in the club that night?
No.
Did you see him outside?
No.
About what time did you get to the club?
I think about 1 something.
I'm sorry?
Like 1 something. It was like almost about to be over.
Okay. And you didn't see him outside near Quan?
No. I ain't see him at all.
Didn't see him at all?
No.
Did you see him go up to Quan and try to give him something?
No.
But you were with Quan outside when he came out with those girls that were tussling?
He came out by himself.
Okay. He came out by himself, but the girls were already outside?
No, they came out right shortly after.
Okay. And you weren't at the club very long?
No.
Did you go inside the club?
No.
Okay. You were waiting to get in the club?
I was finna go in, but when I was finna come up there to go in, he was coming out.
Okay. And did you see Michael Smith at any time while you were at the club?
No.
Did you see him later?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Gorley?
Mr. Welcome, when the girls were fighting outside, that's Dee Dee and Maisha, was security around?
They probably was.
Trying to break it up?
It might have been. I wasn't really paying attention. I was trying to like break it up myself.
Do you know whether security got pepper sprayed also?
I'm not sure.
Did you get pepper spray on you?
No, not on me, like it was in the air, it choked you when it sprayed.
Okay. And
Make it
it was
cough a little bit.
and who was it that was pepper spraying?
The DD girl,
Danielle Kendrick?
I guess so. I don't know it like that.
Okay, thank you.
Council approach. Cross.
Morning, Mr. Welcome.
One,
Now, you said you went to the club with your friend B from Leesburg. That's Brandon, correct?
yeah,
You don't know his last name, right?
no,
And what does Brandon look like?
he, about my size, brown skin, haircut, I don't know,
Okay. He's a black male?
yeah,
Okay. Has hair like yours?
yeah,
How tall are you, Mr. Welcome?
6'1",
How much do you weigh?
like 225, I think.
Okay. And is that about the same in September of 2015?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? Is that a yes?
Yes,
Okay. Do you remember what kind of car you arrived in or vehicle you arrived in?
I forget, it was the dude car I was with.
Okay. It was Brandon's car?
Yeah,
Okay. Was it a car or a truck or something
Car.
else? Car?
Mhm.
Where'd you guys park?
like on the side, like where the parking lot at on the side,
Okay, so the club's side parking lot is where you parked?
yeah,
Parking lot was pretty full, wasn't it?
yeah,
And you said when you got there, you didn't even make it into the club, correct?
mm-hmm,
And once you got to the front door, Kwan's coming out by himself?
mm-hmm,
Is that a yes?
yes.
He wasn't being brought out by a bouncer?
He wasn't, if he was behind him or something, he wasn't holding him or grabbing him or nothing, no.
Okay, so Kwan walked out all by himself. Nobody was touching him.
I ain't see nobody touching him. I mean, you know, like right there at the door, it's the little space between, I don't know if the security guard would follow him to that point, but as far as him coming out, well, I seen him, he was by himself.
Okay, so Kwan comes out, you see him at the front of the club. He tells you about this argument happening inside the club with Nate.
No, not with Nate.
Not with Nate,
No,
with,
with his sister, them getting into it in there.
okay, he didn't say anything about Nate.
No,
And you said Gary King comes out a short time later, after Kwan, a couple seconds, right? And the three of you are standing there in the front of the club.
yeah,
And then, is that when Maisha and Danielle come out?
yeah.
Okay,
With
and,
like them and quite a few little bit more people, yeah.
okay. Did you recognize anybody else that came out of the club?
No. I was like, they was arguing, so I was like, we was standing right there,
Okay.
like with them.
And you talked about Maisha and Danielle get into it again, outside the club, correct?
Yeah.
And you're trying to hold Maisha back?
I was standing right there, but then like when they sprayed, I reached and grabbed her and pulled it back. You know what I'm saying? Like when they sprayed the pepper spray, I grabbed it and pulled it back.
Grabbed who and pulled who back?
Maisha,
Okay, and you got some of the mist.
yeah.
Yeah, breathed it in?
A little bit, choked me a little bit, but they didn't do too much of nothing.
Okay. And in relation to that, when does Nate Kendrick come out of the club?
Shortly after that,
Okay, so the pepper spray happens, and then Nate
Like-
comes out afterwards.
yeah, he coming out like he come out after that, yeah.
Okay. And then that's when you indicate you, Quan, and Gary are standing facing Nate and his group.
Nah, we was all out there like with the commotion. We right there with each other. Then when he come out, when he go to hollering, you know what I mean, we look over at him because he's saying he want to fight.
Okay, so it becomes clear to you at this point in time that Nate Kendrick wants to fight Laquan Barrow. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know who we wanted to fight out of us until he said it. Like when we faced him, he said, "Nah, I want to fight Quan."
Okay. Nate comes out, he says he wants to fight. Who, including yourself, are facing Nate Kendrick?
Me, him, and G.
Me, him, and G. I know who me
I mean,
is.
me, Quan, and Gary.
Okay. When you say G and you referred to G in your direct examination with Mr. Bankowitz, you're referring to Gary King, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So you, Laquan Barrow, and Gary King are facing Nate Kendrick, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And Nate Kendrick is saying he wants to fight.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody move closer to each other after he makes that statement?
They like arguing with each other. They right there like they finna do something with
Who is they?
him and Nate.
Laquan Barrow and Nate?
Yeah.
Okay. When you say they're fixing to do something, are they actually physically moving closer to one another?
We like right there. They could have fought if they wanted to. Really, they was both
Did they get close enough to fight each other?
somewhat. I mean, I guess
Could one of them have reached their hand out and touched the other one?
they wasn't about that close. No,
They were not that close.
no, but
Okay.
they wasn't too far apart.
And how long did that go on for until you heard gunshots?
They argued what about a good 10, 15 seconds, something like that.
Okay. Yelling back and forth at each other,
Yeah,
but not getting close enough to lay hands on each other.
yeah.
And are you, Laquan, and Gary standing there facing Nate Kendrick and whoever was on his side?
Yeah.
Okay. And nobody in either group is getting closer to one another?
No, ain't nobody really hollering, but them two were arguing with each other.
Okay. And you guys are in that position when you hear gunshots, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. So nobody has moved
Nah.
and gunshots go off.
Yeah.
And
from
you
my-
go and you hide.
I went this way. I went to my right.
Okay, you went to your right
And
to get behind the truck?
truck to get in front of the truck. The truck was parked this way. We in front of the truck a little bit. So when the shots they came behind us, when they fired back, I went straight this way,
Okay.
down in front of the truck.
So when you were standing there next to Laquan Barrow and Gary King, and Nate Kendrick is facing towards you, is your back to the parking lot?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said the shots come from behind you in the parking lot, correct?
Mhm.
And then you hear shots, and there is a truck, correct, parked kind of up on the sidewalk?
Mhm.
Facing, the front of that truck is facing the door of Cloud 9,
It ain't facing Cloud 9. It's facing to the right.
facing the other way?
Yeah.
When you go to hide, when you say behind the truck or in front of the truck, is the truck between you and the parking lot?
No.
Where are you,
Say that again now.
when you go to hide behind the truck,
Mhm.
because the truck is long way, parallel to 441, correct?
Mhm.
Do you get on the same side so that the 441 is on the other side of you?
No,
Or
I
you
get
just go to
on.
the
I
front of the
pretty
truck?
much get on 441.
Okay,
I get on 441 away from the club and that way.
okay. Using the truck for cover, correct?
Yeah.
Anybody else using that truck for cover?
I don't know.
You don't know? You don't remember seeing anybody else ducking behind that truck?
I do not know.
Mr. Welcome, what do you remember, if you do, what you were wearing that evening?
I think I had on a black tank top and some red gym shorts.
Okay, okay. You know Michael Eugene Smith, right?
Mhm.
Would you say that you weigh more than he does?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you ever say that you or he could be confused for one another?
I mean, I don't know.
Miss Hawthorne showed you a picture. That wasn't you in that picture, correct? No? Okay. You talked about with Mr. Bankowitz that Gary's a good friend. He's your best friend, correct?
Yeah.
And you said that he never left your sight once you got to the club, Gary King.
Oh.
So he was standing right there, right near you, when you heard the shots go off.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Welcome, it's kind of been just within the last couple of months that you've been listed as a witness. Would you agree with that?
Mhm.
Yes?
Yes.
Sorry, you have to say out loud.
Okay.
And you indicated when we talked to you at deposition that you didn't initially go to the police because you didn't think Gary King was going to be arrested. Is that correct?
I didn't go to the police for none of them, but that ain't something I do.
Okay, yeah, that, you also said that. You're not the type of person to go to the police, correct?
Yeah.
Not even when your best friend's in trouble?
I told him, I mean, hey, whenever they need me, I'll be ready to testify. That was from the beginning.
Okay.
Ever since they got since they got arrested.
All right,
I always said it was just they took that long to call me in.
okay. But never thought to go to the police and tell them what you saw that night?
No.
Isn't it true, Mr. Welcome, you've been convicted 9 times of a felony?
It's been some felonies, but I don't know exactly how many.
You don't know exactly how many?
No,
Does 9 sound correct?
could be.
Okay. No further questions.
Ms. Hawthorne? Is he excused? All right, you can go about your business, sir. Thank you.
I can leave. You talking about leave, right?
You can leave, yes, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, your lunch is here, so we'll stop at this point. Close your pads, leave them on your chairs. We'll be in recess until approximately 1 o'clock, give or take. I don't want to rush you, so I'll give you plenty of time. All right, enjoy your lunch. Please remember, it is not time to start discussing the case. All right, jurors are out of the courtroom. We'll be in recess until, let's say, right at 1 o'clock. If everybody's in place, ready to go. All right.
Your Honor, Deborah Walberson from the police department has been subpoenaed by Ms. Hawthorne. Ms. Kipke is back in the back with Ms. Hawthorne having some discussion about whether or not she would be needed, and suggesting maybe we take that up before lunch.
So if she's not gonna call her, she could be excused. She's been sitting here since 8:30.
Okay. You all right with Ms. Kipke letting her know that? Okay. How many more, Mr. Bankwitz? Okay. And at this point, Ms. Hawthorne, how many witnesses?
One, maybe 2.
Okay. All righty. Well, then, because I expect the jury instruction discussion to be prolonged, are you going to have rebuttal, do you believe?
I believe I will have Lieutenant Borisek up briefly for rebuttal.
Okay, so I think at this point, my plan would be to complete the evidence today, observe the afternoon to hammer out the jury instructions so that everybody knows where they're at starting tomorrow. I'm a little concerned with closing argument with 3 lawyers and the prosecutor with 2 arguments and reading the better part of 80 pages of jury instructions in terms of how much day that we're going to have left on Tuesday, assuming we start promptly at 9. So what I would like you to discuss, and I'm looking at the 3 of you, is whether you would be comfortable with the jury going home, beginning deliberation, me telling them to go until they feel like they want to stop, and then letting them go home, or are you going to insist that they remain together? I think traditionally, typically, and under the rule, they're supposed to stay together unless you all agree that they can go home and then come back Wednesday, because I'm assuming they won't reach a verdict if I give them the case at 3 o'clock tomorrow. So talk about that. Let me know when you come back at 1, because that's going to make a difference in terms of what I do.